African men, Nigerian men, they love sex. Wants to have sex like 5 times a day.
Using your body as a human masturbatory sleeve. That's a lot different than really connecting with another person. If there's a person who is of the mindset that, oh, I need to have this particular gender of childbirth in this relationship, or I'm going to go to another relationship to find that gender of child, that is not going to be a man who's going to be compatible for me. Because the type of, listen, I'm not interested in just any relationship. That's part of the reason that I am still without man right now. Because I am interested in a man who wants to elevate to the next level. I'm just not interested in any type of carnal relationship where people are still thinking on this level, this spherical level. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Gentlemen in this chat, they're listening. Please, gentlemen in this chat, they're listening. Please take notes. I hope you have your pen. I hope you have your papers. Anything that strikes your interest or strikes your attention or strikes your mindset, or you know, just write it down. You guys know how Instagram right now, so you guys can definitely follow, and please check your DMs. So we're still going on. Someone asked a question: if your child came out of the closet as gay or lesbian, but your man didn't like that, how would you react? I think this is something that's currently going on right now, especially with the Wades. So how, I think we would like to know.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so remember we were talking about relationships that are on this level. Remember when I said that one of my pet peeves is a person that doesn't really have the ambition to be self-aware, right? To get to know themselves and where it is that they fit in this universe. So what it is that we have on the outside, like these bodies that we have on the outside, this is physical. What exists on a soul level is so much more than that. So if you have a child that is presenting in this physical body and decides that they want to live a certain type of life and love who it is that they choose to love for the reasons that that child chooses to love that person. And any man who's going to be a good match for me is not going to be the type of man who's going to be like, I'm not going to accept our child because our child loves differently than I see fit. That's why it's really important to vet your partner and really get to know your partner very early on.
You make some great points, and I completely agree with you. So my question to you now
Is
is, okay, should your husband decide that, hey, I want to be a pastor, and you have no line, no bloodline, or no interest in missionary work, and there's a lot of responsibility that come with being you understand, a
I'm
pastor or
sorry.
reverend. So should
Oh,
your husband
well,
decide he wants to
listen,
be a pastor or reverend,
I'm
and you're not
spiritual.
into that?
Listen, I'm spiritual, non-religious. In 2007, I had a near-death experience, and I know what it is that I experienced from my own personal point of view. And if there is any person who is constrained in any particular religious sect, that person is not a good fit for me. Any person who's like, I have to adhere to the dogma of this particular religion, that's a person who's not going to be a good fit for me. And it's okay if listen, if this person wakes up and says, oh, I've had some sort of revelation that I need to go and start proselytizing that Jesus and this, that, and the other, it's okay that our relationship has shifted into one that no longer works for both of us. That's okay.
I guess someone dropped a question in the comment section saying Africans don't accept homosexuality. So what would you do? And just speaking as a, I'm just gonna be blunt with you, right? I'm not trying to say that's me in this case or whatnot, but I'm Nigerian, able to be precise. I'm not gonna boy any. Some of our parents, some of our cultures still live in that backwards mentality that we don't accept homosexuality. We don't want to deal with that. We don't want to have to. We don't want to have that conversation at all. So I'm just piggybacking on what Amy had said in the chat. And
Mm-hmm.
that happens in your home, and this is a man that you guys have grown in love over 5 years, over 10 years. You guys have been hoping on the Lord for a kid, and bam, God blesses you guys with a kid. 5 years later, the son says, I want to be a girl. You understand? Like, and he really wants a son. And him not wanting him not wanting to be in a in a polygamous relationship and adopting another child or bringing in another wife is because of that male reason. And now he finally has a male child. And now this male child says, I want to become, be at the other side. So how does that work? I think I'm just piggybacking on Amy's
Yeah,
comments.
and that's a really good point. And I'll say this, right? I'll say this. I think what some of us kind of take for granted or fail to realize is that there is somebody for each one of us. You know what I mean? There's somebody for each one of us. I I'll give you a little bit of my dating history, right? I
I want to hear that.
Yeah, so my father is from an island called Nevis, right? And Nevis was populated by Igbos who were stolen from Nigeria, right? So most of the people on the island of Nevis are genetically Igbo. So my father is genetically Igbo. If you see any Igbo man and you see my father, when I went to masquerade in Anambra, one of the
Question.
chiefs looked like an uncle of mine, right? So so I so Igbo men have been attracted to me throughout my as I've aged and as I've grown. And I've realized that most of the men that I've dated have been Nigerian men throughout my life, just because the attraction is already there, right? Um, every Nigerian man is different, and the ones who are born in America or who have acclimated in America are very different than the ones who were born and raised back in Nigeria. There's a difference, and so everybody is different, and each person is going to find a person who is right for them.
I don't know if you found the comment section. Like people are really venting, and people are really. I like this. This is really. I think this is what we signed up for. We wanted people to give
Mhm.
us honest opinion and like to talk about this situation. People are saying African Americans. I mean, sorry, Nigerians, especially back home, they do not accept homosexuality. But it seems everything you've said right now that is you're ready for life with a Nigerian man, to be exact. Because to be honest with you, I'm amazed with how much you know about my culture, how into the culture you really are. You've been to all like you went to Dirty December. Those are things that Nigerians dream of going to. You've been to, you know so much about the culture, and it seems like you're ready for life with a Nigerian man. But now with some of the questions I'm asking and some of the answers that it seems like there's no compromise in this situation. So how do you prepare for this, mind? Like for me, you already successfully scaled over the cooking. You're a great cook. You love to cook, as you mentioned. So now it's more about some of these traditions that are uncompromisable. How do you prepare yourself for that?
When I was in Nigeria, I hung out with homosexual men who date in Nigeria. So you can't sit here and tell me that Nigerians don't accept homosexuals, because there are homosexuals who are Nigerian. What you're asking about compromise on is whether or not somebody who I am married to and have given birth to a child, flesh of his flesh and flesh of my flesh combined into a child, and that child grows and says, listen, this is what I choose to do and who I choose to love. And you're asking whether or not I can compromise on my mate, saying that they will not accept flesh of our flesh because of the choices that that flesh consents to making of their sound mind and body. Where's the compromise on that? How do we compromise? On how do you compromise on a spouse saying they will not accept the child that you two have created? Where's the compromise?
I mean, I guess there's no compromise in that situation. In that, when you say that, but it's more of a thing. It's like it's a forbidden fruit, kinda. It's like the man. Let me speak on the Nigerian. Well, I can't speak on every Nigerian. I can speak on some from my experience. Nigerian men expect their wives to have the same thinking as they do. It is something that you talk about it over time, or it just becomes a norm that you should understand that we are supposed to be compatible. We are supposed to know these things together. And so if they say, listen, you should know that there's no conversation, our kid can be gay. And now you say, no, my kid is going to be whatever he chooses to be. Now there's a separation in the home. And so now I guess what I'm trying to say is, are you prepared for that separation? Because it
What
might
type of
happen.
separation?
Divorce, in the sense, a lot of men, especially in Nigeria, do not have this time to have this therapy or going through question and seeking advice, seeking help on how these things should go. They just straight move on to no. It's no. They're very stubborn. I do understand that. I do understand that you guys are going to have this conversation. You're going to get to know the man that you're going to date over time. But things get different. My question to you, in the situation that this is at hand, are you going to compromise for your marriage, or are you going to compromise for the sake of the happiness of your child?
I'm going to stick with what is in the greatest interest of us as human beings in terms of elevating to the next level. And if there's any person who says that they choose not to love another, or not to respect or care for another human being because of the choices that that human being of sound mind and body has consented to participate in, then I stick with whatever is highest elevation. What some of the people in the chat room are confusing is, first of all, we are in America. I am in America. Whether or not homosexuality is outlawed in Nigeria is irrelevant, because we are in America. Homosexuality is not outlawed here in America. So that's a moot point.
Someone said something that was really funny. He said, Tonya, you need to find a king elsewhere. Nigerians aren't the only wave. And how do you how do you respond to that, knowing that you really want to find yourself an African king?
I'll say this, right? I think that there's a misunderstanding. I'm not qualifying a person based on whether or not they were born in a particular region. I've already had the feeling. You know how people are intuitive? I've already had the feeling that I'm going to marry interculturally, right? It's really just a matter of that person who is right for me coming forward and presenting himself. Now, you'd be surprised. Listen, there are 190 million. Listen, Nigeria is the country that has exported the most amount of people worldwide. There are more expatriates from Nigeria than any other African nation, right? There are 190 million Nigerians still in Nigeria. So I don't need 100, there's 100 million men and 90 million women in Nigeria. I don't need 10 million. I don't need 1,000. I just need one that's right for me. And that person who is right for me is going to be a good match for me. It's going to be a good match for me.
And listen, that man might just be on this chat. We don't know. So I really love how this is going. We're going to just take a quick musical break, drink some water, get to the next question. We've been on this question. I don't want us to spend so much time in it. So let's just quick musical while people drop their questions. Woo! Tonya, this is this is beautiful. We get to know each other, and people get to, listen, we're not just playing only Nigerian music here, please. Please, all the Nigerians that have come here, please, stay your own lane today. Mike, no shots today. Okay, please, you guys drop your questions, and we're gonna move on.
How you doing, Prince?
Me, I'm doing good, man. I'm really. You know what's interesting? This whole quarantine has given me opportunity to learn so many things about myself, and I
Really?
really did. Yeah, I didn't think I could take a rest. I'm always on the go. I'm always thinking of the next big thing. But like recently, I've been waking up at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. So this is not good. But like I've been relaxing because
Really?
I know that when this whole pandemic is over, the real life starts again, and we don't know how much time we're gonna have to like get back on track. So um listen, we're not going to bed tonight. We're here for like another hour. Tonight is about Tonya. You understand? Tonya is seeking herself African king. You
Yeah?
understand? To be exact, she wants a Nigerian. She wants a Nigerian king. Okay, we're gonna move on to questions. Let me track back and see if we have some questions that has been asked.
Are you ready to come back from the break?
From what?
Are you ready to come back from
Oh
the
yeah, we're
break?
ready. We're ready to come back from break. We're ready.
Okay. I'm trying to just, oh, okay. There we go. All
I
right.
guess I'm gonna drag the bull by its horn and ask another question. We're gonna
Okay.
really get to the nitty gritty. Um, big part of your relationship.
I'm sorry, what was that? It cut
Is
out.
sex a big part of your relationship? Is
You
that
know
a deal
what?
breaker for you?
I think sex is, you know what? I read this saying once that said that good sex can't keep people together, but bad sex can sure tear them apart. I think a healthy sexual relationship is important for any romantic relationship because if you think about it, right? Without sex, you're just friends or roommates at the very worst. That's it. So good sex is important. Otherwise, because that is the way you listen. How much closer can you get than accepting a person into your body or going into another person's body? You can't get much closer than that. So of course, good sex is important, Prince.
Question: if your husband or your significant other is horrible in bed, what do you do? He's
Well, you know
horrible.
what?
He either has a small stuff, or he's probably his duration is. I'm just trying to find the right words to put, but 20 seconds. He's done after 20 seconds.
Well, you know what? So remember when I talked about being about having the ambition to be your best self, right? Now, nobody is perfect, right? No one is perfect. Let's talk about size first of all, right? There are women who are in loving, committed, monogamous, long-term, very powerful relationships with other women, and there's no penis involved, right? So if we're going to talk about size, there are relationships that exist that are very meaningful with no penis.
About
Listen,
this. All right. Let me not interrupt. All right, just go on.
okay. Okay, so in terms of size, there are other things that people can do to be able to have a fulfilling sex life. So that's one. Two, if there's a person who he has no stamina, there's obviously something else going on. Either the prostate is enlarged or there's something else going on. But how dedicated is he to figuring out what's happening so that we can have a thriving sex life?
Let me talk about an African man. All right, in this sense, and if I'm wrong, yeah, any Nigerian man on any Nigerian man on the chart can correct me. You understand? African men, Nigerian men, they love sex, right?
Mm.
Sometimes they're real. Like I don't know about any other culture, but those guys, those people from that country, I know that. You understand? And now, should his desire not fit into your plan? Like he wants to have sex like 5 times a day. or 4 times or a week or whatever it is. How does that, and if this is something that doesn't fit in your plan, how do you plan on doing it?
Well, you know what? If you want to talk about 5 times a day, right? There could be, listen, whether the sex drive is overactive or underactive, there are underlining things going on. You know, the way a child was held or not held when they were developing, when they were in that developmental stage, determines whether or not this child is going to be able to self-soothe. So if my partner is trying to soothe through my vagina, you know, there's obviously some other things going on. And if the sex drive is low, then we need to, as a couple, we need to figure it out.
Okay. And so for me, I kind of see where you're coming from. I'm trying. All right, let me skip on that. Let me hold that question. Let me see what people are saying on the chat before I ask the question I want to ask. Interesting question. There's a big difference from having sex and making love. A real man understands the difference. What's the difference, if I might ask you?
Well, you know, sex is mechanical. Making love is all of the other stuff, you know, the emotion and the feeling and the connection and the vibration. So like there are men out there, like I said, self-soothing through another person's body, masturbating inside of someone's hole, you know, and just using your body as a human masturbatory sleeve. That's a lot different than really connecting with another person and 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 finding satisfaction in that.
Oh, Tonya, man, this chat is going crazy, man. This is beautiful. I love this. Okay, Tonya, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel knowing that you make more than your husband?
You know, remember when I said I'm no ordinary woman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So any man who comes into contact with me, right, makes more money, expands his vision, and broadens his world. The person who is right for me makes money and has the ability to make money. And also, listen, first of all, I'm a high earner, right? I am a high earner. I make money, right? And the people who are around me are ambitious people. The men who are attracted to me are ambitious men. And any man who, listen, when it comes to a number in a bank, it's not about the number in the bank. It's really about that part of the person, that inner drive that goes towards creating wealth. It's all about energy. Money is energy. And you exchange your time, your ingenuity, whatever it is, and then people give you their money, and it's an energetic exchange. So I make more money than my man. First of all, if we are a family unit, right,
Mm-hmm.
our money goes towards the upkeep of our household, the the things for our children, the planning for the future, our home in Nigeria, our home in Nevis, our home in New York and LA. Our money goes towards all of that. It's really all energy. And any man who comes into contact with me is a high earner already. He's a high earner. I attract men who have money. You see the way I'm speaking here on this live? There are a lot of men who are going to hear me speaking. They're going to be like, oh, this is not the right move for me. But the man who hears me speaking, hears what it is that I'm saying, and it's like, you know what? I really like this woman. That's a man who's already making good money.
I think that's the goal that we're trying to, you know what I'm saying? Don't be. I think for me, this one I want to let you know. I think this whole chat is gonna give you an idea of who is the kind of guy for you. That right man is probably taking notes right here and saying, "This is really what I want. This is the kind of woman I want." They're writing notes down. You'll be surprised who's definitely gonna reach out to you at the end of this. You understand? But I guess for me, I want to kind of help you narrow down your search. I think that's the goal I'm trying to get to. You stated at the beginning of this conversation that you want a Nigerian to be exact, a West African man to be exact, a Nigerian man. You understand? So for me, it's important for me to give you some of the attributes of a Nigerian man and what to expect in a home. Okay, now so Tonya, in the situation whereby your husband, or this man, this Nigerian man, you understand, has a problem with you being in charge of the home, how do you take that? Because Nigerian men want to take over. They want to be the head. They don't like being they don't want to answer to any woman. You understand? So how does that make you feel? Like, are you ready to basically pass down and say, okay, hey, take over and be the king, be the man, be the father? How does that sit with you?
You know what? I think there's a lot in your statement, right? There's a lot in your statement, right? And let's try to break it down piece by piece, right?
All right.
Any man who is smart, a man who is really smart, accepts the input, the assistance, the collaboration of people who are adept. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is part of the reason that we're having such a tremendous issue in the United States right now, because a person who is intelligent is going to rely on the counsel of intelligent people who are good at a certain thing around them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when it comes to you saying that a Nigerian man doesn't want to listen and wants to be in charge and et cetera, right? I guess it really depends on who is the person in the union who is best suited at certain things. You know, who is the person who is best suited at balancing the checkbooks? Who's the person who's best suited at remembering dates, planning the doctor's appointments, those sorts of things, right? So a person who is wise and intelligent is going to utilize the best person for whatever job is the best job, right? Now, with that being said, I was raised in a household where my father was the head of the household. He still is the head of the household now. So I believe as a woman that it is in our best interest to find unions in which we can rest in our femininity. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have no desire to be the quote unquote head of the household. I don't have that desire. However, being a collaborator and a co-creator with my husband is something that will naturally happen.
I'm gonna digest that.
The reason, you know what, Prince? The reason why you're saying that is because as a man, you don't really realize how women co-create with you. So a woman who is smart is going to be able to co-create with her man and still have him feeling that he's running the show. Because at the end of the day, it's really about him as a man feeling his worth and his importance in that relationship. And a woman who is wise is going to be able to do that seamlessly. And you would never know. You would never know.
This is very interesting. Someone said Prince doesn't even know what to say. Hey, listen, I know what to say. It's just you have to understand. I'm learning different things. You have to. I'm a Nigerian man. I have my desires. I have my wants. I have my knowledge. I have everything. I'm just coming into this whole chat neutral. I want to hear from a different perspective. And Tonya right here is giving us another side of like this. For men, this is something that we should listen to and like see reasons. Listen, again, she is in search of an African man, a West African man to be precise. And so the point of this whole thing is for her to be able to vent herself and share her desires, share her wants, and open the chat up for questions and see who she's able to match make with or something. You understand, right? Am I speaking for you when I say that?
Yes. Bring forward my king.
Bring forward your queen. Tonya, someone asked a question on this chat. Are you open to dating Ghanaian men?
Of course. Ghanaian men are beautiful. Oh my God. Mm.
Ghanaian men over Nigerian men?
You
Or
know,
whoever comes to you?
first of all, I'm 67% Nigerian. And oh my God, the thing is about to end. They say 26
Oh,
seconds left.
I didn't see.
It's because it's on my thing. So we're gonna stop. You want to come back again?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. So everybody on this chat, please, if this whole on your motors, we need to
Eight
get some
seconds. We're
answers
gonna
from
come
you.
right back. It's
We're gonna
5,
come back right
4,
back. So please
3.
just
Thank you for watching. Make sure you thumbs up the video. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell notifications to be notified of new videos. Leave a comment below and come over to TonyaTko.com to subscribe to my personal mailing list, send me a message, or find out more about matchmaking. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.